At 2:47 p.m. on March 24, 1945, Staff Sergeant Alan Magee squeezes into the ball turret of B-17G, 10 horsepower, over the industrial heart of Germany, preparing for what should be a routine bombing run. 22 years old, 17 missions completed, 3 confirmed enemy fighters destroyed. Below him, 48 Messerschmitt Bf-109s scramble from Kassel Airfield, their Daimler-Benz engines screaming as they climb toward the American formation. Each fighter carries 2 20mm cannons and 2 13mm machine guns. The Luftwaffe has orders: stop this raid at any cost. The target is the Henschel tank factory, producing 75 Tiger tanks every month. Destroying it could shorten the war by weeks. Intelligence reports show 1,200 workers inside, but also anti-aircraft batteries arranged in concentric circles around the facility. The 8th Air Force has already lost 240 bombers over this single target. Magee grew up in Plainfield, New Jersey, working in his father's automotive repair shop. He enlisted 3 days after Pearl Harbor, driven by rage and a mechanic's understanding of machines. He wanted to fix bombers, not fly in them. The Army had other plans. By March 1945, the strategic bombing campaign has cost 26,000 American airmen killed. The average life expectancy of a ball turret gunner is 11 missions. Magee has survived 17. Today we'll test every single second of that borrowed time. The Sperry ball turret hangs beneath the B-17's fuselage like a glass sphere, 4 feet in diameter. 2 50 caliber Browning machine guns protrude forward. Inside, Magee sits in a fetal position, knees drawn to his chest, feet in stirrups controlling the turret's rotation. His head barely clears the gun sight. The turret rotates 360 degrees horizontally and nearly 90 degrees vertically, powered by 2 electric motors drawing current from the bomber's main electrical system. The temperature at 26,000 feet hovers at -43 degrees Fahrenheit. Magee wears electrically heated suits, but the ball turret's plexiglass offers no insulation. He can see everything below him. No armor protects his position. The metal sphere offers the clearest field of fire and the highest probability of death. 10 horsepower flies in the low squadron, port side, making it a primary target for fighters attacking from below. The ball turret's job is simple: stop them before they reach the bomber's vulnerable belly. Magee has 300 rounds per gun. When those run out, he becomes a passenger in a glass coffin. The formation crosses into German airspace at 2:31 p.m. Flak bursts appear first as black puffs, then as shrapnel storms. The bomber's pilot, Captain James Kinney, maintains strict formation. Breaking formation means losing the protection of overlapping defensive fire. It also means becoming an easy target. Weather conditions are deteriorating. Cloud cover at 12,000 feet obscures the ground. Visibility above the clouds extends 15 miles, perfect conditions for fighter interception. Wind speeds at altitude reach 68 miles per hour from the northwest, pushing the formation slightly off course. Kinney compensates, but the correction costs fuel. The hydraulic system on AB-17G operates at 1,500 pounds per square inch, powering the landing gear, brakes, and turret mechanisms. Redundant systems provide backup, but battle damage can cascade through multiple systems simultaneously. Engineers designed the B-17 to absorb punishment, but they never planned for what's about to happen. Before you know how Magee's situation turned out, please hit that like button. It helps us share more forgotten stories like this one. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Let's continue. At 2:43 p.m., the first Messerschmitt attacks from 6 o'clock low, exactly where Magee expects. He rotates the turret smoothly, tracking the fighter's approach. The German pilot fires early, tracers arcing past the B-17's left wing. Magee waits. At 400 yards, he presses both triggers. The 50 caliber guns roar, brass casings ejecting into a collection bag beside his right knee. The Messerschmitt's canopy shatters. The fighter rolls inverted and drops away, trailing black smoke. Magee doesn't watch. Two more fighters are already climbing from below, attacking in a coordinated scissors pattern designed to overwhelm a single gunner. He engages the left fighter first, firing a 3-second burst. Pieces of the Messerschmitt's cowling tear away. The second fighter opens fire. 20mm shells punch through the B-17's aluminum skin. One shell detonates inside the radio compartment. Another tears through the No. 3 engine, severing oil lines. Captain Kinney's voice crackles through the intercom. No. 3's gone, feathering the prop. All positions report damage. Magee reports his guns still operational. The waist gunners report minor damage. The tail gunner, Sergeant Robert Chen, reports his oxygen system is compromised. At 26,000 feet, oxygen deprivation causes unconsciousness in 30 seconds. Chen has maybe 2 minutes of useful consciousness left. The bombardier, Lieutenant Frank Walsh, prepares for the bomb run. The target is 17 minutes away. Holding formation with one engine out requires increased power to the remaining engines, burning fuel at 220 gallons per hour instead of the normal 200. Every minute costs gallons they don't have. At 2:51 p.m., flak intensifies. The Germans have perfected their 88mm guns into terrifying precision weapons. Shells burst at exactly 26,000 feet, creating kill zones of spinning metal fragments. A single fragment, no larger than a postage stamp, can sever a hydraulic line. A fragment the size of a quarter can kill. 10 horsepower shudders as flak detonates 50 feet below. Magee feels the concussion through the turret's metal frame. Warning lights illuminate on his control panel. The turret rotation slows. He tries to traverse right to engage another fighter, but the motors struggle. Hydraulic pressure is dropping. Then the world explodes. An 88mm shell detonates directly beneath the aircraft, 20 feet below Magee's position. The blast wave lifts the entire bomber, rolling it 15 degrees to starboard. Shrapnel tears through the bomb bay, the radio room, and the hydraulic system's main pressure line. Magee's turret stops rotating. The electric motors whine but produce no movement. The hydraulic pressure gauge reads 0. His guns still fire, but he can't aim them. He's locked in position, facing directly aft, unable to rotate toward incoming fighters. Captain Kinney's voice cuts through the chaos. We've lost hydraulics. All systems reading 0 pressure. Landing gear status unknown. Ball turret, can you rotate manually? Magee reaches for the manual crank, a steel handle designed for emergency hand rotation of the turret. He pulls. Nothing. The turret is jammed. At 2:53 p.m., Walsh releases the bombs. 12 500-pound general-purpose bombs fall toward the Henschel factory. Without hydraulics, the bomb bay doors won't close properly, increasing drag and fuel consumption. Kinney turns the formation toward home, but home is 380 miles away across hostile territory. The immediate problem is Chen in the tail. Without oxygen, he has perhaps 90 seconds before he loses consciousness. The co-pilot, Lieutenant Raymond Foster, crawls back with a portable oxygen bottle and saves him. The second problem is fuel. With one engine out and increased drag, fuel consumption has jumped to 245 gallons per hour. The fuel gauges show 920 gallons remaining. The English coast is 4 hours and 20 minutes away. They have 3 hours and 45 minutes of fuel. The third problem is Magee. The ball turret's entry hatch opens into the fuselage only when the turret rotates to a specific position. With the turret jammed, the hatch won't align. Magee cannot exit. When the bomber lands, the turret will be crushed between the runway and the bomber's belly, crushing Magee inside. Flight Engineer Technical Sergeant William Morrison examines the problem. The hydraulic lines are shredded. The electric motors have power, but without hydraulic pressure, they can't move the turret. The manual crank should work, but something internal is jammed. Morrison calls down to Magee. We're going to get you out, but we need time. Time is the one resource they don't have. The formation crosses the German border at 3:17 p.m. The nearest Allied airfield is Liège, Belgium, 180 miles ahead. The fuel gauges now read 720 gallons. They'll arrive with perhaps 40 gallons remaining, enough for one landing attempt. But landing with the ball turret extended means certain death for Magee. The turret hangs 34 inches below the fuselage. On touchdown, it will contact the runway first, bearing the aircraft's entire 65,000-pound weight. The plexiglass will shatter instantly. Magee will be crushed in less than 1 second. At 3:28 p.m., Captain Kinney tells the crew to prepare for bailout. Everyone except Kinney will parachute over Belgium. Kinney will stay with the aircraft, attempting a belly landing in an open field. Except Magee refuses. Negative, Captain. I can't reach my parachute. It's stored in the fuselage. I can't get out of this turret to retrieve it. The horrible mathematics become clear. Magee cannot exit the turret. He cannot bail out. He cannot survive a landing. The only solution is to free the turret before landing. Morrison, Foster, and Waist Gunners Staff Sergeant Carl Webb and Staff Sergeant Thomas Archer converge on the problem. Morrison lies beneath the turret's internal mechanisms, tracing the problem by touch. Battle damage has bent the turret's mounting ring, creating friction the manual crank cannot overcome. At 3:41 p.m., Webb suggests using the auxiliary power unit. It has its own small hydraulic pump. Morrison runs the calculations. The APU can produce 800 pounds per square inch, barely half normal pressure. They'll get one chance. Kinney makes the decision. Do it. At 3:56 p.m., they're ready. The APU coughs to life. Hydraulic pressure builds. 100 pounds, 200, 400, 600. The gauge trembles at 780 pounds per square inch. Magee, hit the rotation switch. Now. The electric motors whine. The turret shudders. Then, with a metallic shriek, it jerks 3 inches left. The motors overheat. The turret moves another 2 inches, then stops. The APU's engine seizes. Smoke pours from the pump. The turret has rotated 11 degrees. It needs 90 degrees to align the hatch. 11 degrees closer to freedom. 79 degrees short of survival. At 4:03 p.m., the fuel gauges read 420 gallons. Morrison stares at the turret, his mind racing. Then Archer speaks up. The manual crank moved it before. What if all of us crank together? Morrison knows the turret has a secondary manual override, a steel cable system meant for ground maintenance. If they pull it directly, bypassing the gears, they might break through the jammed bearing. The cable access panel is in the shrapnel-torn radio compartment. Morrison finds it hanging by one hinge. Behind it, a steel cable 3/8 of an inch thick connects to the turret. He pulls. Nothing. Foster joins him. Together, they pull. The cable moves 1 inch. The turret rotates 5 degrees. 16 degrees total. 74 degrees remaining. Webb and Archer squeeze in. 4 men arrange themselves around the cable. Morrison counts down. Pull on 3. 1, 2, 3. The cable slides 6 inches. The turret rotates 8 degrees. 24 degrees total. 66 remaining. At 4:11 p.m., the English Channel appears on the horizon. The nearest airfield is now RAF Manston in Kent, England. The runway measures 9,000 feet long. Kinney can land gear up there. If they can free Magee. The fuel gauges read 290 gallons. Manston is 27 minutes away. Morrison and the crew pull again. And again. Each pull rotates the turret another few degrees. Their hands blister. Archer's shoulder separates partially, but he keeps pulling. 38 degrees. 51 degrees. 63 degrees. The cable is starting to fray. Individual steel strands snap with each pull. At 4:26 p.m., they've rotated the turret 72 degrees. 18 degrees remaining. The cable is visibly damaged, frayed strands poking through. Kinney's voice cuts through. We're starting our descent. I need an answer in 3 minutes. Can you get him out or not? One more pull, Morrison says. Everything we have. They pull with every remaining ounce of strength. Individual strands snap like rifle shots. The turret rotates 10 degrees, then 12, then 15. The cable snaps. The turret stops at 87 degrees. 3 degrees short. Morrison scrambles to the manual crank. He cranks. The handle turns, but the turret doesn't move. The internal gears have stripped. At 4:28 p.m., Kinney begins his final descent. The fuel gauges read 140 gallons. Morrison keys the intercom. Captain, we're 3 degrees short. We can't move it any further. Then Magee speaks. 3 degrees. That might be enough. The hatch is circular. If I can rotate my body inside the turret, I might be able to squeeze through the partially aligned opening. The hatch opening is 18 inches in diameter. With 3 degrees of misalignment, the effective opening is approximately 15 inches. Magee will have to thread himself through an opening smaller than his shoulders. How long do you need? Kinney asks. Give me 3 minutes. You've got 3 minutes total. We're landing whether you're out or not. At 4:29 p.m., Magee begins to contort his body inside the ball turret. He removes his flak jacket, creating extra clearance. His oxygen mask catches on the gun sight. He tears it free. His helmet won't fit through the opening. He unbuckles it and lets it fall. He rotates his shoulders, angling them through the misaligned hatch. His left shoulder fits, but his right catches on the metal frame. The frame cuts through his flight suit into his skin. 30 seconds have passed. He tries a different angle. This time it clears. His head and shoulders are through, but his torso is stuck. The hatch's misalignment creates a metal lip digging into his ribs. He exhales completely, emptying his lungs. He pulls with his arms and pushes with his legs. His ribs grind against metal. Something cracks, possibly a rib fracturing. 60 seconds have passed. His torso clears. His hips are next. He rotates his left hip diagonally. It clears. His right hip won't fit. He tries every angle. Nothing works. 90 seconds have passed. Morrison reaches down through the hatch. Magee, we're out of time. Not yet. Magee does something that should be physiologically impossible. He dislocates his right hip intentionally. The pain is instantaneous and overwhelming. His vision goes white, but his hip clears the metal lip. Morrison grabs Magee's flight suit and pulls. Webb and Archer add their strength. Together, they haul Magee through the hatch. His legs follow, and suddenly he's lying on the fuselage floor, gasping, his right hip radiating agony. 150 seconds have passed. 30 seconds remain. Morrison drags Magee toward the radio compartment. Brace positions, everyone. Kinney's voice is calm. Gear won't extend. We're going in belly first. Brace for impact. At 4:32 p.m., B-17G, 10 horsepower, touches down on Manston's runway at 110 miles per hour. Without landing gear, the bomber's belly makes first contact. Sparks shoot from the metal-on-concrete contact point. The ball turret hits the runway 1 second later. The plexiglass sphere shatters instantly. The metal frame collapses like a crushed can. If Magee had been inside, he would have been killed before his brain could register the impact. Kinney holds the control yoke steady, keeping the bomber level as it slides down the runway. The propellers strike concrete and shatter, pieces of blade flying off at lethal velocities. The bomber slides 2,400 feet before coming to rest 300 feet from the runway's end. Inside, Morrison's hands press Magee down against the impact forces. Equipment breaks free and flies through the fuselage. A fire extinguisher misses Webb's head by inches. Then silence. The crew evacuates through the waist gun windows. Kinney is the last to leave. Crash crews surround the aircraft within 90 seconds, but there's no fire to fight. The fuel tanks are empty. Medics load Magee onto a stretcher. A doctor reduces his dislocated hip on the runway, a procedure that makes Magee scream loud enough to be heard over the idling crash trucks. They transport him to the base hospital, where X-rays reveal one fractured rib, the dislocated hip, multiple contusions, and severe lacerations. He's expected to make a full recovery. The crew gathers around 10 horsepower as the sun sets. The bomber is a total loss. The ball turret is completely destroyed, barely recognizable as the sphere where Magee spent the last 3 hours. The fuselage is torn by flak damage. The engines are ruined. But all 10 crew members are alive. Post-mission analysis reveals the full scope of what the crew accomplished. The manual turret rotation required an estimated 1,840 foot-pounds of sustained force, significantly more than the system was designed to handle. The crew's improvised solution bypassed safety mechanisms and risked catastrophic failure. The decision to continue the mission after losing hydraulics subjected the crew to an additional 43 minutes of exposure to enemy fighters and flak. Statistically, bombers that leave formation have a 73% probability of being shot down. 10 horsepower maintained formation despite reduced capability. The belly landing required Kinney to approach at 110 miles per hour, 23 miles per hour faster than normal, increasing the risk of structural failure. His ability to hold the bomber level during the slide prevented a cartwheel that would have killed everyone. The bombing run was successful. Reconnaissance photos show the Henschel factory severely damaged, with production halted for 6 weeks. But for the crew of 10 horsepower, the only objective that mattered was getting Magee out of that turret. They succeeded with 30 seconds to spare. Of the 338 B-17s that participated in the March 24th mission, 19 were lost to enemy action, and 47 returned with significant battle damage. Total casualties: 190 men killed, 38 wounded, 121 missing in action. 10 horsepower was the only bomber to successfully execute a belly landing with a crew member trapped in a turret. 3 other bombers attempted similar rescues earlier in the war. All 3 failed. The trapped gunners did not survive. Magee spent 6 weeks in hospital recovering from his injuries. The dislocated hip required physical therapy to restore full range of motion. The fractured rib healed without complications. The lacerations on his shoulder left permanent scars. He returned to flight status in May 1945, but the war in Europe ended before he could fly another combat mission. He was reassigned to training duties, teaching new ball turret gunners the systems he had nearly died inside. The crew of 10 horsepower was recommended for the Distinguished Flying Cross. The recommendation detailed the hydraulic failure, the improvised turret rotation, and the successful crash landing. The medals were presented in November 1945. At the ceremony, when they called Magee's name, he walked to the platform with a slight limp. The general asked what he planned to do after discharge. Magee said he was going back to his father's repair shop in Plainfield. He was done with machines that flew. He was discharged in September 1945. He returned to New Jersey and married Helen, whom he had met before the war. They had 3 children. He worked in the automotive shop for 42 years, retiring in 1987. He rarely spoke about the war. When his children asked, he would tell them simple facts: where he served, what aircraft he flew in, that he came home alive. He did not tell them about the ball turret, the jammed hatch, the fraying cable, or the 30 seconds. In 1989, Morrison contacted him. The crew was planning a reunion. Magee initially declined, but Helen convinced him to attend. 8 of the original 10 crew members attended. Chen had died in 1973, Archer in 1981. At the reunion, they visited the Smithsonian to see the B-17 on display. They stood beneath the ball turret, and for the first time in 44 years, Magee told the complete story to his children. His daughter asked why he did it, why he risked such injury rather than waiting for rescue. Magee looked at Morrison, Foster, Webb, and the others. Because they didn't leave me behind. Magee died in 2003 at the age of 80. He was buried with military honors in Hillside Cemetery in Plainfield, New Jersey. His casket was draped with an American flag. 7 rifle volleys were fired. A bugler played taps. His obituary mentioned his service in World War II and his work at the automotive shop. It did not mention the ball turret, the jammed rotation, or the 30 seconds. Those details remained known only to his family and the surviving crew members. Foster died in 2007. Webb in 2011. Kinney in 2015. Of the 10 men who flew on 10 horsepower that day, none are alive today. But the story survives because they chose to tell it. The wreckage of 10 horsepower was scrapped in 1945. No pieces remain. The bomber exists now only in photographs, mission reports, and memories. But the decision they made at 26,000 feet over Germany to spend 3 minutes pulling a cable rather than accepting one man's death remains a testament to what crews became in combat. Not just pilots and gunners, not just ranks and positions, but brothers who refused to calculate acceptable losses when the loss was one of their own. If you are watching till now, then do me a favor. Hit that like button. Every single person who likes the video counts to YouTube to show this story to more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're discovering forgotten stories from dusty archives every single day. Stories about men who hand-cranked a jammed turret with a fraying cable and 30 seconds to spare. Real people, real heroism. Drop a comment right now and tell us where you're watching from. Are you watching from the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia? Our community stretches across the entire world. You're not just a viewer. You're part of keeping these memories alive. Tell us your location. Tell us if someone in your family served. Just let us know you're here. Thank you for watching. And thank you for making sure Alan Magee and the crew of 10 horsepower don't disappear into silence. These men deserve to be remembered, and you're helping make that happen.